Welcome to the KZGN News. Today we'll bring you info from the City Council, the Kern County Sheriff's Department, today's KZGN Talking Points editorial, and more.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News Crew.
Hello, I'm Tom Wicknick. Thanks for joining us for the news. Coming up tomorrow, Wednesday, at the Ridgecrest City Council meeting, these items will be on their agenda for presentations. They'll do a proclamation recognizing May 10th through 16th as National Police Officers Week. Next, there will be a presentation by the Measure L Citizens Oversight Committee regarding their annual report. This is an important item. Next, they'll adopt a resolution to approve an agreement with the engineering firm of Quad Knopf and prepare 3 applications on the Highway Safety Improvement Program, the Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Program, and the Regional Surface Transportation Program for the City of Ridgecrest. These are applications for grants to get federal funding for local counties and cities for road projects. They'll consider adopting a resolution of the Ridgecrest City Council adopting and reaffirming the city's annual statement of investments and delegating the authority to make such investments to the city treasurer, Mrs. McQuiston. Under discussion and other action items, the Council will get an executive summary and hold discussion of the fiscal year 2014-15 budget projections by Finance Director McQuiston. Then they'll have a Council discussion and consider approval of a letter of support for Senate Bill 111 and Senate Bill 121. Next on the agenda is ordinances. Here the Council will have a second reading and adoption of Ordinance 15-03, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest, amending Chapter 20 of the Ridgecrest Municipal Code by adding a provision permitting emergency shelters within the R3 and R4 multifamily residential districts, and an amendment to the ordinance section permitting density bonuses. So if you want to provide any inputs to any of these City Council agenda items, come to the meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, May 6, 6 p.m. at Ridgecrest City Hall. And again, it is at this meeting where we will get the report from the Measure L Committee on how the Council spent funds received last year from the special sales tax we pay in Ridgecrest. In news from the Kern County Sheriff's Office, the week of May 11th through May 15th, 2015 is Peace Officers Memorial Week in Kern County. This is a time we set aside to remember and honor all law enforcement personnel who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their communities. During this period of observance, deputies will be wearing black mourning bands over their badges, and flags at sheriff's offices will be flown at half-staff. The Kern County Sheriff's Office will hold its annual Peace Officer Memorial Ceremony to pay homage to members of the Sheriff's Office who have lost their lives in service to the people of Kern County. The ceremony will be held on Monday, May 11th at 10 p.m. at the Sheriff's Office Memorial Monument at Sheriff's Headquarters, 1360 Norris Boulevard in Bakersfield. Now it's time for the 39th KZGN News Talking Points editorial. Should the city fund private industry only to get sued by one of those companies? But first, did you watch the state's attorney Marilyn Mosby, the city's chief prosecutor, speech about the charges she and her office were bringing on 6 officers of the Baltimore Police Department? Did this sound like a neutral dissertation of the evidence and the charges? Not to me. However, there was one particular section that really hit me. I have to paraphrase because she said it so fast and I was taken aback by it. When she was talking about how there would be justice for Freddie Gray, she said this, "And to the young people of Baltimore, you have wanted justice for a long time, and now you're going to get it." Wow. So just what is her job? Is it to enforce and prosecute the law without prejudice? Or to enforce it to make a certain segment of the community get justice? I'm not saying they shouldn't be charged, but to announce the charges in the tone that she did is offensive and reeks of bias. And it seems a number of other news agencies picked up on the same thing about that statement. Justice for the young people. Before I start today's editorial, here are comments received on the KZGN Discuss group about my last editorial. The last one said, "Do you fear the direction our country is heading, or do you believe we're going the right direction, and why?" Well, Harry said, "You nailed it, Tom. I do fear the direction our country is heading. America is being taken apart. Thanks, Harry. I appreciate your comment. Now on to today's editorial. The topic of today's editorial is, should the city fund private industry only to get sued by one of those companies? On this week's City Council agenda is an item of hidden interest. It is mundanely listed on the agenda as follows: Conference with Legal Counsel, liability claim of Protexa Healthcare Technologies Incorporated, claim number 15-02. Well, if you're a regular watcher of City Council business, you see that every meeting the Council is holding a closed executive session to discuss someone suing the city for something. But this one is of particular interest, and I want to offer the disclaimer now that we don't have all the details yet about the claim. What they have submitted is a demand letter for payment of funds. This is not a lawsuit yet, but with city government, they have to submit a demand letter before actually filing a lawsuit. Yesterday, KZGN-TV broke this story and has received sufficient information that we can put out the following information. If you remember back about a year ago, the then City Council, which I have to remind everyone that only 2 of the current council were on the council when this happened, the then City Council awarded 4 companies millions of dollars from TAP funds for economic development. This was grant money to help business start up in the city, provide jobs, and help diversify our economy. Sounds good in concept, but many people reminded the council then about the problems the city got into financially and legally with previous companies. In past years, the city has tried to help finance economic development, only to have the projects go away and wind up in expensive legal costs. But the council decided they wanted to ignore past experience mistakes and said we must try and help new companies diversify our economy. They felt our legal agreements with these companies would be great for the city. Well, now the news. One of those companies, Protexa, was awarded about $800,000 for them to start up. Now, for the record, they have not received all of the $800K yet. Well, the agenda item has Protexa with a claim against the city for more than $217,000. Why would a company that was given hundreds of thousands of dollars of our tax dollars now be suing the city, and by default, us? In an April 22, 2015 letter from Protexa to the city, they say why. This letter shall serve as notice of the detrimental impact to Protexa caused by the city's intentional, unwarranted, and material delay in releasing payment of economic development funds as required under the Economic Development Agreement dated August 6, 2014 with Protexa. The impact of Protexa and its rapidly moving business efforts and performance under the agreement are both short and long term. The damages requested fall into 2 categories. First, direct financial losses, such as cancellation of our participation as an exhibitor at the American College of Cardiology. Second, delay of our overall program timeline, along with associated additional cost and lost resources and opportunity. The estimates of those losses are over $4,000 for direct losses and about $213,000 for programmatic delays, damages totaling over $217,000. The letter goes on to say Protexa has chosen at this time not to include all the damages it suffered as a result of the city's wrongful actions, including loss of time to market, lost market shares, and the like. This is a threat of a future suit. And finally, the letter states, if Protexa does not receive the requested payment of $217,000 within 21 days of the date of the letter, or come to some alternate solution agreeable to Protexa, Protexa will withdraw this offer and proceed with the actions necessary to protect the financial interests of their shareholders. Did you catch the tone of that one? It is to be Protexa's way or nothing. The deadline is dictated as 5 p.m. on May 13, 2015. Additionally, in the paperwork, KZGN-TV has obtained a letter of demand of payment of $275,000 was sent to the city on March 9, 2015. Then the next letter from Protexa dated March 17th admits receipt of the $275,000 on March 11, 2015. And now the last letter cited in the story was dated April 22, 2015, asking for the $217,000 in damages. And as a side issue, this is also the company that Councilwoman Lori Acton worked for as an employee of a subcontractor for Protexa. However, there is Facebook comments that she may have been laid off in February, but we have not been able to confirm that. But I would hope that even if she is laid off, if there was any potential that she may be recalled back to work for them, then I would expect that she will be having to remove herself from the closed session in the back room during this discussion. As I read the agreement, I believe the agreement was for the city to provide funding for business operations, not that the city would become a business partner, which is the error of this claim against the city. While we don't have all the details yet, it sounds like Protexis is blaming the city for some bad business decisions. Not only do they get access to about $800,000, they are suing for another $217,000 and threatening of suing for even more. We'll watch to see how this develops. However, we'll hold judgment until the facts are completely known. Now let's discuss the two charges. Direct financial losses such as cancellation of our participation as an exhibitor at the American College of Cardiology. On this one, my research showed there was a convention in San Diego in March of this year. If they needed city funds to go to San Diego for a convention and couldn't afford to go without our city funds, then they're in serious trouble. If I was an owner investor in Protexis, a company whose main focus is this industry, I would have gone there if I had to walk and sneak in. I know that's a little ridiculous, but the point is San Diego is so close and shouldn't have been missed for any reason. Surely, to blame the city seems outlandish. The next claim, delay of our overall program timeline, along with associated additional costs and lost resources and opportunity. For this one, they would have to show full records to the city of how any non-payment caused this damage. The city, otherwise known as we the taxpayer, needs to have proof of this charge. And since this affects our tax dollars, we should be privy to these claims and the basis of them. This should not be hidden behind closed doors. Transparency goes further in this case. We deserve to know the basis for any tax dollars spent. When the council was considering the fundings last year, there were questions from the public regarding financial condition of these companies and that the people had a right to know their finances. One councilperson tried to argue that the financial data was private and not subject to disclosure to the people. Well, I got up and argued that since this was we the taxpayer granting the money, we had a right to know everything the council knows in making their decision. That if the companies wanted to keep their finances secret, then don't ask for public funds. Well, the attorney in charge of the agreements got up and agreed with me. Anything involved in the decision process is public information, he said. Anyway, having a company that is getting over $800,000 from us to turn and then sue us for damages is unbelievable. Again, while we don't have all the details yet, on the surface, this is ridiculous. The charges they have leveled seem to me bad decisions on their part. The city did not sign on as a business partner. They granted money. Did Protexis confer with the city when they decided not to go to the trade show in San Diego? I don't know the answer, but I bet not. The city should not be liable for Protexis business decisions. If the SBA loaned a company money and then the business went belly up, do you think the business would successfully sue the SBA? I don't think so. It would be more like the SBA suing the company for their money back. In conclusion, we don't have all the facts yet, but with what is known, this stinks. Here we are again, trying to help diversify our economy by granting taxpayer money only to get sued within months of signing the agreement. I'm Tom Whitnick, and that's what I think. I'd like to know what you think. If you have any comments about this editorial, or would like to discuss or recommend a topic, I'd like to hear from you. Please email them to info@kzgn.net. Stay tuned for sports and weather after the break. Thanks for staying with us. Now let's go to Keith for the weather.
Thanks, Tom. Across the nation, a few severe thunderstorms are expected across West Texas and eastern New Mexico. More strong storms are possible for parts of Kansas and southern Iowa, northern Missouri, and west central Illinois. Heavy rain with localized flash flooding is possible across parts of Kansas and Oklahoma. Temperatures across the nation: Massachusetts and New York tied at 66 degrees today, Ohio 79, Carolinas and Georgia at 75, Louisiana at 81, Kansas at 59, Montana 62, Arizona 72. And along the California coastline, temperatures were from the mid-50s to the 60s. But for us locally here in the IWV, we are expecting tonight mostly clear with a low around 57, breezy with a west wind 10 to 20 miles per hour, with gusts as high as 30. Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 82, light southeast wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wednesday night, mostly clear with a low around 54, breezy with a southwest wind 15 to 20 miles per hour with gusts as high as 25. On Thursday, we have a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms from the afternoon to the evening. Mostly sunny with a high near 72, southwest wind 5 to 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 20. Thursday night, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mainly before midnight. Mostly cloudy with a low around 50, windy, west wind 20 to 30 miles per hour, gusts as high as 40. Friday, we have a slight chance of showers with thunderstorms possible and developing in the late afternoon. Mostly sunny with a high near 72, west wind 5 miles per hour. Chance of precipitation is 20%. And that is your local forecast for the IWV. Now back to Tom and the rest of your KZGN News.
Thanks, Keith. Now let's go to Tom Heck for the sports report.
And a very pleasant Tuesday afternoon to everybody. Let's start with some local notes. A lot of fun last night with the 5th grade basketball league up at Saracoso. It was the last regular season meeting for all the teams last night. The Gateway girls were a winner over Richmond. They won that game 6-4. In the boys, it was Richmond 23, Gateway 21. That was in 2 overtimes. Tremendous game. Then in the girls' game, it was Charter 10 and Pierce 6. And in the boys' game, Charter 27 and Pierce 12. All right, let's take a look at the other side of the bracket. It was St. Anne's and the girls defeating Las Flores 9-5. And then a very close boys' game as Las Flores beat St. Anne's 14-11. St. Anne's coached by Rory O'Neill, the former star player at Burroughs and at USC. Then it was Fowler 14 and Inyokern 5 in girls' play. And then to cap the night off, it was Fowler 21, Inyokern 13 in the boys' play. So, the regular season winners, for the girls it was Fowler, for the boys Richmond. Now, this Friday and Saturday will be the league championship, the postseason championship. St. Anne's School very involved with the effects of putting this on. And this is Friday starting at 4:30. There'll be 4 games on each court. And then on Saturday, they'll have the championships up at Saracoso College. The action on Saturday starts at 9 o'clock. All right, in the NBA last night, the Clippers, without Chris Paul unable to play last night, defeated Houston. Now, they played very well in the fourth quarter to do that, and they take a 1-0 lead. Now, Game 2 is scheduled for Wednesday night in Houston, and then Game 3 Friday night at Staples, Game 4 on Mother's Day, Sunday afternoon in Los Angeles at Staples Center. All right, tonight it'll be Atlanta and Washington, Game 2. Washington won the first game. Atlanta blew a big lead in the second half. Atlanta was the number 1 seed in the East. Washington the number 4 seed. That game will tip off at 5 o'clock our time. Now, Memphis will take on Golden State Game 2. Memphis dropped Game 1 Sunday to Golden State up in Oakland. That game scheduled for 7:45 local time. All right, let's talk about Major League Baseball. The Dodgers blew a lead last night. Clayton Kershaw got the loss. They lost to Milwaukee. Milwaukee, though, the worst record in baseball. They've won 3 games in a row. Their manager, Ron Renicky, was fired on Sunday. In fact, Renicky, what a prize to win. You beat Chicago, then you get a phone call saying that you're no longer going to be the head coach of the Milwaukee Brewers. Renicky was the assistant under Mike Scioscia for 5 years. He was the bench coach there, then he got the job in Milwaukee. He actually took the Brewers to one of their best seasons 3 years ago. They won the National League Central and got beat in the divisional playoffs. All right, also the Angels lost 3-2 last night. They lost to King Felix Fernandez on the mound, and He went 8 innings and enough to beat the Halos 3-2. The Angels now have lost 4 games in a row. The Houston Astros 10-game winning streak was snapped last night. They lost to Texas in Arlington 2-1. Right now, though, Houston has a 7-game lead over the Angels. They're in first place in the American League Western Division. Tonight it'll be the Angels Game 2 against Seattle, the Dodgers in Milwaukee for Game 2 of their series. All right, Paul Vanderwerf will join us in just a few minutes. Stay tuned for Tuesday night Ridgecrest Talk. We'll have Paul live tonight. Paul, as you know, the local green thumb horticulture expert in the IWV. But if you didn't know, Paul also very prominent in the history of sports in the IWV. He'll talk about the way things were in some of the glory days, and a little bit about Larry Bird, one of the legendary basketball coaches in all of CIF that used to coach here at Burroughs High School, now retired. That's your sports for this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. All of us at KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We all thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only community TV station.